So my video on rambling while ambling has gotten some responses, and I appreciate those. I like interaction on the videos. I like well-reasoned responses. I figured I'd take this moment to kind of clarify my position a little bit more, and the reasoning behind my decisions, my opinions on it. As a society, we have determined that officers have very little discretion, let's say no discretion, on whether or not to investigate felonies. If an officer responds to a call of a felony, they have to investigate. They have to. They don't. It's not a matter of, well, I didn't see this guy get shot. It's no, I have to investigate. It's a felony. Many, if not most, states have codified that. Misdemeanors, as a society, we find them to be less abhorrent. So we give more discretion. The officer may investigate if he arrives on the scene and to a call of a misdemeanor, but he doesn't have to. He's not obligated to. He gets some discretion in that. But if he sees a misdemeanor, typically, your state may vary, but typically he has to respond to it. He may not have to make an arrest, but he has to do his due diligence and go through it and figure out what's up, if anybody is deserving of an arrest or whatever. And then citations are obviously the least abhorrent things that we still as a society want to deter. But there are things that, number one, would be completely impractical to try to police all of them. And number two, there are things that we do. I don't know of a day that I've ever driven that I haven't sped, that I haven't been distracted, that I haven't rolled a stop sign ever so gently, where I haven't made an illegal lane change, where my tires haven't touched a line, where something that I could get a ticket for hasn't occurred. Now maybe you're a saint, maybe not, but I think most people, in my experience driving on the roads of California, most people commit multiple infractions daily driving, just by judging what I see on the freeways. So, that said, officer discretion is a thing, but officers are ultimately paid to enforce the law. They are, if an officer brags that he has looked away from felonies, then that officer absolutely needs to get fired. If the officer says he's looked away from some misdemeanors, well, then maybe he had a good reason to. If he says he's looked away from all misdemeanors of a specific class, then he is placing his beliefs and opinions over those of society. States have a right to determine what is and isn't a misdemeanor, and if that cop doesn't like it, then that cop shouldn't be a cop. Jury nullification and officer discretion are basically safety valves, and if society has a law in place that society does not like and doesn't want to enforce, through the mechanisms of the jury nullification and officer discretion, those don't change the law, and they will apply the law unequally across the board. Some people will be punished for having marijuana on their person. Some people will not. It becomes luck of the draw. Did you get a good jury? Did you not? Did you get a jury nullification jury? Did you not? Was the officer just a good old boy? Was he not? I would rather, and you can disagree. Again, this is my personal opinion. This is my preference. I would rather the laws be enforced equally across the board, as far as the jury is concerned and as far as the officer is concerned. Because if the law is not achieving the results the electorate wants, then the electorate has an impetus to change it. I have a sneaking suspicion that the reason why prohibition was repealed is because it was being enforced. If prohibition was put into place, okay, no one can drink, great, and then everybody ignores it, the juries nullify it, the police officers don't enforce it, then there would never be an impetus to redact or change that law. Just like there are currently laws today on the books, they're called blue laws in many states against things like sodomy or other things that are unenforceable and haven't been enforced. They haven't been enforced forever, but they're still on the books, and there's just no impetus to change them because they're not enforced. I would rather see laws be enforced and the mechanisms put in place to change the law in our Republican forms of government put in place to change the laws that need to be changing. Now, do I think that 100% jury nullification and officer discretion should be removed? No, I don't. I don't agree with them generally speaking. There's always exceptions to every rule. There are times where I can imagine a law, a completely otherwise just law that we don't want to change as a society, being applied in a fashion that is unjust in a particular instance, where enforcing it and then going back to the legislative branch and saying, you guys need to fix this because society doesn't want this result, they wouldn't be able to write a law specific enough to address that situation, because each time that particular situation would come up, it would be so individualized that it would be hard to write in. So I hope that clarifies it. I think we do ourselves a disservice when we half-ass ways, like with DACA or with the unenforcement of immigration laws. If you don't like the immigration laws, change them. Enforce the ones that are there. If you don't like it, change it. Anyway, that's my rant. Thanks for watching.